water system would be the preferred way. We had a long debate about the town couldn't make them, but fire basically said, I'm not gonna permit it unless there's a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet.
Or they have to sprinkle their house.
Well, actually, one of them still sprinkled, even with the fire hydrant, but basically fire is what required them to install that water line. And then the town was okay with it because we were at the time supporting new connections and trying to get, one of the ways to pay back that bond with lower impact to the residents was to scatter that out over more people. So connecting people was what we're trying to do.
So it seems like that, if that water line, our water line breaks anyways, we're liable for it. We have to take care of it, we have to fix it.
If it's public. Yeah, if it's private, we wouldn't have to do that.
If our 8-inch line breaks on the private road, we don't have to fix it.
If it's a private line, if we make them keep that as private
Okay.
instead of turning that public, then if it broke, it would be up to them to fix that.
Okay.
And their road, yeah, we don't gain from a town perspective. It's only liability is what we use.
Yeah, so I don't see why we would want to keep any of it, the line or the road.
And give me the reason why the line's private again, the pro for that.
The pro.
Well, like John said, I don't say, and I'm kind of like with the town, especially the plowing, but also the water and anything else. What's the advantage of us to keeping that public again and not just giving it both private?
So Ryan thinks we need to, you want to tell him why you think it needs to be public?
Well, so I did it so I assumed it was public. I guess we should have had this debate before we put it in, but at least it's prompted it before the second one's gone in.
Right.
Is that we own up to the meter. And so we've got a fire hydrant on the end that's not metered, and we have 3 connections that are off that line that then the meters are set in the right of way and then it goes to the house. And the policy we had said is that everything up to the meter is ours, is public, and we're responsible for it, and everything after the meter is theirs. And so the 8-inch goes up to the fire hydrant and then the meters come off of that. And so I believe that the 8-inch is tied into our system, and with the fire hydrant and the meters, that we're responsible for everything up to the meter the way it was set.
And they had.
I'm happy to be corrected, but that was my understanding as we installed it, and that's why we inspected it, and it was buried to the town standards and installed and inspected that way.
And they had to pay for that.
And they did pay for that. They did pay for that, and it's not unusual in a lot of communities. As a developer comes in and puts in a new development, they have to install the utilities to the town standards.
Yeah.
And then the town assumes the responsibility for them after they've passed inspection. And so that's not unheard of.
Yeah.
I'm not really opposed to it being private. I think if I had gone in with that mindset, I would have required the connection to the town to be a little different. I would have required a vault with a master meter, and then after that master meter, they could have done, I wouldn't have inspected. I would have given them guidance and told them they can do whatever they want, and if there's a problem, we'll just shut it
I
off.
don't think that.
With where we're at now, in my mind, I'm thinking they keep the road, we keep the water line then, because the plowing's gonna be a big issue, because we know we're gonna tear up the road, right?
I certainly don't think we want I don't think we want the road, and that's not a discussion I've ever had with them, is that they understood it was a private road until such time as the town decided that we wanted it for something else.
Well, then they'd have to
And so,
pay that, and then we take it over, but that'd be paid, and they would have to have
If the town
$4,000.
wanted it now, the town would have to do that.
well, so the discussion I had with them, and the way I understand it, is there is a right of way that the town has if we want to use the road. Right now, we don't want it, so it's a private road. Tomorrow, if we notify them that we want the road, we have the right of way, we go in, we pave it, now it's a public road.
Full width of the whole road?
Yeah, the whole 50-foot right of way. That's why we required a 50-foot right of way, even though it was a gravel road. Is that if it becomes in the town's best interest, we can do that. And that one might, there's a lot of other roads that are being considered that I don't know where they would ever go, but I don't know what the town's gonna look like in 20 years.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how much acreage is back there that could possibly, 5-acre lots. I mean, how far back does the town?
It's industrial. It's industrial.
On that road, it becomes industrial right behind those 2
In our
lots.
town boundary.
See, because if there was a potential of 4 more lots back there, that's $42,000 for the water company. I surely wouldn't want to privatize that. I'd be interested in getting that and getting that privilege to hook on the line paid and then meter the water. The other thing that I see is I don't think it's fair to the people that we've been dealing with in that subdivision to all of a sudden go to them and tell them that they're gonna be in charge of their own water testing and they're gonna have their private
They won't have to do
privatization.
that.
At three, they won't have to do that. At more than that, they could.
Okay, then how is it that they get hurt when we tell them that it's a private system?
Because when that water line breaks and there's a 60-foot crater, we shut off our valve and say good luck with that.
Okay.
Versus now, if it's our water line, we fix
So
the
can-
water line.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's just pretty much what we did with Hanson's right now, up in our area. We said,
2 or 3 days.
the damage is under the road there, it's your line, fix it, right?
Yeah,
So, we're already doing it, right?
That's a little different case.
that was on his side of the meter, but same logic. It was
Yeah.
lines we said were not ours.
It was private all the way up, well, his line,
Yeah.
wasn't ours.
But they have bought and paid for the line, and there's 3 of them, just not one.
No,
It's a
I-
new
I just say
system.
keep it
I'm
private.
not too
You
worried.
know what we have.
Well, but if another house is built, they would be required to bring that road up to standards.
Yes, there's 3 homes on the gravel road. If there's one more home, it will have to be
They
fixed.
would have to, the private parties would have to upgrade that road, and then Daniel will take it over,
Maybe.
maybe. But they'd have to bring it up to.
If there's more than 3 homes, it would have to be paved. It would have to meet the next higher standard.
Yeah,
It could still be private, but it would meet the next higher standard
yeah.
to have 4 homes. And then, so to me, the road and the water line are 2 separate issues, other than they are certainly, they coexist in the same area, which is, I think, the right way to do it.
See, we handle the easy things, the hard things we bring to you.
So I built it, or I inspected it as they built it, and I watched them build it with the assumption, with the understanding that it was gonna become the municipal system. I don't know that my opinion's that strong. I could be easily convinced that it's a private water line, we don't need to worry about it.
I kind of liked your comment though, Ryan, when you said, we've always told people that they own from the meter to their house. To me, that makes sense. That's an easy rule. That's easy to follow. That's easy to always maintain. And so maybe it's better if we keep the water line on them, you know, just a thought.
That's my gut feeling.
How about the road too?
Oh, for sure, the road would give that private, at least I think.
So do you see a problem doing the private and public, or the private road, us keeping the water
No,
line?
we're just looking for direction for standard across the thing, and the one on Little Sweden was actually a different water company, so that'll be under the Twin Creeks.
Oh, that's right.
So that won't even,
Does this need to be made where there's questions, does this need to be made into any resolution? I mean, how do we cement this?
I think once we know what the council wants, we're able to handle that.
I just need direction.
Yeah.
Well, let's, yeah, Mark.
Is the contractor gonna be responsible for the water line for a year's worth of time, warranty-wise, to make sure that there's not a problem after a freeze-thaw situation? You know, that's standard, I would think.
Yeah, so we followed the standard development procedures. We stole the agreements from Magna. That's another municipality I happen to have a Magna.
You know, you know the water line's gonna be here for years to come, more likely afterwards, and
I think I write that stuff.
nothing to worry about.
So following that,
Keep it as a city only water line.
So yes, it's under a 1-year warranty period.
And you set it up.
so if they're looking for direction,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of like John,
I
with
thought the water line was
regard
gonna be
to
public.
public line, private road.
But I could be wrong.
Same, John, in case of you, okay, so we've got 3, John.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, keep the water line.
Reason
Public,
There you go.
drive on the road.
But I could, you know, we're dead set on that if there's reasons
Yeah,
why.
like I say, if there's more reasons compelling to make a change, but right now, I see that being logical.
Well, and like we say, if there's a change, then we need to know that up front so we can design it as such, where we can isolate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But Kim's, he's right. We sell by the hook. So, town's obviously in the market selling water. We dumped a lot of money into it, so.
Okay?
Stephanie, did you have something you could comment
No.
I
Do
thought-
I look like Loki or
Yeah,
something?
I
We saw a
thought you-
hand.
I thought you went like that.
People thought.
Okay, is the council ready to move on to the next item? That would be, okay, that was, we just finished 8, number 9, recommendation letter from Planning Commission, reapplication for rezone from RA5 to commercial on the bunker property at 1822 West, 3000 South, setting up a public hearing. So, with regard, we have a recommendation from the Planning Commission. Do we have, at this point, an app and money for that?
Yeah, and that's actually at planning. All they're doing is sending it to you guys to set the public hearing.
Okay, but so as far as the paperwork, all that's been done?
They haven't recommended approval or anything. There's none of that. They just sent it here to get the public hearing.
So
We've held these public hearings together,
Right,
and so they want to schedule the public hearing. That's why it's here. They haven't made.
together or just have us do it?
It says that we'll have a public hearing, the council and the plan. Our code says that. So we're looking at setting the public hearing. It has no way even come out of planning yet.
Okay.
So they sent it here for you to set a public hearing.
we set up for the next month or
Has to be 30 days of notice, right?
14, I think.
14 days.
14,
10 state law, 14 ours.
till next month.
Because of Labor Day, next month's meeting isn't until the 11th.
So,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay, 11th public hearing,
They said airport gets speedy.
all right?
I'm good whenever you guys want to set it up, I think.
Yeah, let's set
So we
it
need a motion for the date?
Yes.
And that was what, date again?
September 11th?
That might be a good day to go have that.
Great day, yeah.
I'll make a motion
Wonder
on,
how this will get turned out.
Chair will entertain a motion to schedule the public hearing for zone change.
so moved.
We have a first, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second for that. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Motion moves forward. Public hearing is set for the 11th.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't want to make any recommendation until after the public hearing. So what that does is allows us with the dates, we can start sending those letters for the 500 feet. Because then we can tell them when the public hearing is. That information has to be in before we send the letters.
So go to the airport too.
Did come across a neighbor and almost a second neighbor here that had no idea until that, he did that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion before we move on from item number 9? If not, we'll move on to 10, Planning Department report violations and enforcement.
Okay. The planning report. Oh, we can use the back, I didn't have to get it up. Okay. Have to look and see what I'm recommending. Anybody want a copy? You guys need a copy? Sure. Over here? Right.
If you got an extra?
You bet. Brian, do you want to know what we're doing?
Yeah, let me know. Is there something, yeah. Let me make sure there's no surprises.
There might be.
I'll start off, sir. So has anything moved on Mark? Mark, did you find anything out? I'm curious, just myself, nothing. As in, they just haven't got back with you, or they're dragging their feet, or it just hasn't moved forward? All the above?
I'm dragging my feet as much as what Dave is.
Okay.
We keep having a lot of what-if scenarios that just are so hard to see past and through, around.
Just curious, you had been chewing on for a while and didn't know how much closer you were to finding out those answers.
Okay, any questions on that? Awesome.
I do Charleston boundary agreement.
The Charleston boundary agreement was rejected
Hold on, bye.
by the county. So county rejected their map and their wording, and so that's been sent back.
So wasn't it clear what they were going to do that was already kind of pre-approved through what's his name who does the addresses, and it was all kind of, but it changed?
Yeah, the county surveyor said that this is not recordable. It is. And so he has a final say, and so he rejected that. So Mike Peterson says he's working on a new one. I don't know that there's any incentive for him to work on a new one, so I don't know what Charleston's gonna do. I do know they do have a different dirt.
You know why all the dirt's being put back in the cutaway by chance, where they were gonna do the road?
No idea, there was a public hearing for the weather vane complex that was there, and I didn't make it down to that, I had some other things going, so they had a public hearing down there for that project. But by the time I read that in the paper, I'd already had other plans, so I didn't make it to that.
So the dirt going back on the hole is they remove the topsoil and they're backfilling with structural fill,
So
which would be
that-
consistent with building a road.
And that was my first thought, because it's so rocky and it wasn't the greatest soil they were dumping back in there, but so that would be kind of the base before the road base, before they build up
Right.
the
Yeah,
road.
so they remove the topsoil, which I know Mike has done on a number of job sites. I believe he sells it, or it's economically advantageous to do so. And then they haul back in structural fill that makes for better roads and road base and those things.
So I was just curious, they're not discarding, they're not gonna do away with the road they almost were gonna do. That was my thought, when I was like, okay.
I don't know, I look at it out of my office every day, and I haven't seen anything that would indicate that they're doing away with it. They certainly aren't working very fast either.
Hold on, yeah.
Eric, on the Daniel Academy remodel, I guess a remodel is different than an addition, right? They're just doing something inside, or they adding on, or?
Yeah, they're actually changing a bedroom from down to up.
Yeah, it's a couple walls, and there's a bathroom in the hall, and they're changing the doors around to make it a Jack and Jill. It's some pretty minor
Yeah, that's.
plumbing and non-load bearing walls.
Which all of the county agencies signed right off on, so there was really no teasing her.
Herbicide spray applicator acquired, so we got that taken care of, no sign complaints, this month, verbal complaints. What is this, Adam Scott on the deck?
Oh, yeah, it's down here, it's down on the next one. The other one are all reviews that you guys need to be aware of. All reviews are no longer handled with Epic.
Oh, right.
Inspection and code review is all through GDA now.
Ever get the bills and whatnot?
Nope.
Settled, no?
Okay, so everybody's aware of that. We had no signed complaints this month, we had verbal complaints. The clerk received a complaint of Scott Kohler building without a permit. And then we had verbal complaints on fences around the town being over 3 feet, size of skewering on the frontages.
Oh, yeah, right by me.
So that's one, we have 3 of them in the town.
I didn't even think of that,
Is that 4 feet on the front?
It's 3 feet, 36 inches on the front, and if it's side obscuring. But we also have a 25-foot visibility triangle, so if you're on the corner, 25 feet back from the corner both ways, can't be higher than 3 feet, so,
Okay,
Why is
quite understand, so.
what's that?
Why is that?
For visibility, as you're turning that corner, you can
So if
see.
you're
You can see over, so
If you're on Southfield Road and the Lloyd's corner, are those trees on his corner non-compliant or compliant?
They are non-compliant. You can have trees in there, but they have to be to the trunk between 3 feet and 8 feet. So there can be no vegetation on that.
Well, if you cut those trees out, the garbage trucks won't even slow down around that corner, let alone stop at the stop sign.
So help me understand that, Eric, if you have a tree, I'm sorry, John.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So if you have a tree growing in that visibility triangle we just talked about,
Explain that.
so the visibility triangle is if you have a corner lot, you go back here 25 feet, you come down here 25 feet, that's your triangle. This area here cannot have anything side obscuring higher than 3 feet. If you have trees planted in here, there's a place in the code that allows that. All vegetation has to be trimmed off the trunk between 3 feet and 8 feet.
So after 8, it could be a tree.
Right,
just
it
has to
can
be
go ahead and
clear.
branch out, you're just looking for visibility.
But on the other side,
Well,
right away.
if this is a corner lot, then our code says that these people have 2 frontages. There can't be over a 3-foot visibility here either. And the reason they do that is for law enforcement, so they can see into there.
Right, so, but
That's
it's a
one of
lot
the-
next to it.
The lot next to it, the frontage, only the front. So typically what happens on the next lot is this thing is 3 foot, the house is here, And this is typical, it'll go 3 foot to there, and then it'll jump up to 8 foot or 6 foot the rest of the way.
A tree trunk.
So once you clear the front of the house,
Branches from 3 to 8.
then that will
That's
go
right,
up to
yes,
6
that's
foot fence
a
here.
visibility
3
slot
Oh.
through the tree branches.
But the corner lot required, the corner lot, once it gets back past the back of the house, still can only be 3 foot. per
That's
unit.
right, these are both frontages on a corner lot.
Or if it's a visible fence that you can see through.
Right, if it's not side obscuring, then this doesn't
Oh, I
apply.
see.
This is only side obscuring.
I've called them blue bus many times, but their trucks all stop there and stop there.
So Eric, are you pursuing the citations on,
I am not, I'm here to ask the council, because we don't have a signed complaint, what does the council want to do? I've received, like I said, we have 3 of these in the town, side obscuring fences in the frontages. The one there is obviously a Wetzel property is a major safety issue. If you turn that corner and there's a kid on a bike out there, you are not gonna see
Want a
him.
signed complaint?
Or they're backing out of that driveway, because he's probably not 25 feet back with his driveway.
Young kid driving a car, just not pulling a stop sign or just taking a hard ride, yeah.
Which spot is that?
Which spot?
Yeah, which one? are you talking about?
Okay, so if you're coming down 3,000 south, what they've done is, that's on a corner lot. They came down here with a regular pole fence, then it jumps into a side obscuring slabs, and it goes down here. They did put that much of a corner on it. All of this fence is 6 feet, all side obscuring. It's a solid fence. And so,
The expensive fence.
it is, and then once you make this corner, this, it'd be at the end of that, right at the end of this is his driveway. They stopped right at that driveway. So if he's pulling out, he cannot see that road until he's out of the driveway. Granted, there's only one house down here. That service is down that road right now. Brereton's down at that end.
Wetzel's fence actually comes around the corner.
Yeah, it goes to here, comes around to there, and then there's driveway. This is just their driveway. So this is all 6 foot, 6 foot, that's not there. So it comes down 6 foot, goes to their driveway, and then stops.
Comes up Brereton's driveway,
It goes
a
past
ways.
the driveway.
It goes
around the
north.
corner way.
Yeah, it comes around the corner, but this is their house, right? Well, this is their house that comes to that driveway. On this side, you're saying on the other side of the driveway, this is a pole fence going on down that driveway. The side obscuring is just right there.
Which way's north?
Yeah, I've got my directions.
Which way's north?
So this is their driveway, this way would be north.
Their driveway faces west.
Okay, you're,
Well, that road
No,
going
it's not
into
right.
Burton's is a private road anyway.
If you're going down 3,000 south and you're going west, you're passing this side of the fence, and then the road turns to the north.
Yeah, this way would be going down towards,
The transfer station or
right,
Eric's house.
189.
How, do we require a permit for a fence?
We do not.
We're not digging a hole.
What's that? We require blue stake.
I thought that when we stuck in our mailbox, we had to get a permit for that.
You can't put a mailbox in the town right away. That's not allowed.
You can't put a mailbox where?
The town right away. Has to be back on your property.
So you're gonna go to this gentleman and say this isn't code and tear it down?
Yes. Well, I'm not gonna do anything. The council's gonna send me to do something.
Isn't the
Nice
standard
try.
usually a written complaint? Why are they not willing to give a written complaint?
Some people just don't want to get involved. It's,
Oh, they want to get you involved.
well, yeah, but
That doesn't seem fair to me.
me either.
You know, for me, I like all 3 fences, but I get why it's in the code for safety.
Yeah.
And so,
I do too, but I'm thinking, if you see your neighbor putting that up and you know it's a problem, why don't you walk over and tell your neighbor there's a problem with the code there, rather than telling Eric after it's up? That really bothers me.
It's
They
easier
don't
to
want to be
pick up the
known
phone
as a
and
bad
walk over.
neighbor.
well, one person sees one, oh, great, I can do it, and they don't really know. And so the next person, now we got 3, we're probably gonna have 4. And,
And I'm thinking that with it being a safety issue like that,
Well, even the other one up on 3,000 south, further up, the gentleman, I thought he'd be here tonight, but his fence, it goes across driveway and then keeps on going. And then, of course, the walkway here that goes to the house. So he's got, that fence comes right out to his driveway. You just can't see. When you're pulling out of there, you cannot see. This is 3000 south, so we all know what kind of traffic goes down 3000 south. At 35, because that's a speed limit.
Or with all the joggers and bikers going through there because it's on the trail.
Is there,
So that's the other one that's right up there.
Which one is that?
This
okay,
is up
running
at,
speed deals really where it,
what's his name?
So Eric, where he's on a corner,
Al?
he needs to just lower that fence so far back, or how far back?
Both of these two frontages have to be 3 feet.
I've been told
The
that.
whole
So
thing.
you're talking a lot of feet.
The whole thing, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the corner lot is considered 2 frontages. So,
I have a comment, maybe that ought to be brought up to the planning commission
They're what, 2,000-3,000?
about fences like this. People that have backyards along frontages would probably appreciate a 6-foot fence. The community would probably appreciate it, the landowner.
If it's the backyard, you can have it.
Because this is kind of like the side along his 3000 south is kind of his backyard. It should maybe stop and go down to 3 feet. There's certain footage away from the corner, but it would be nice.
for privacy on his back
Yeah,
deck here?
for
I know,
privacy.
yeah, you know I did it. Because
Yeah.
the back deck area here.
It's right there.
However,
That just needs to put some trees.
if you want this place to be shielded, this is where that 6-foot fence should be.
Yeah.
Not out here on the road.
So how far back off the property line could he go to put up a 6-foot fence?
He could go back, it's, I mean, 6 feet would satisfy us, it's on his
Maybe you
property.
just have to move it back.
Right. Yeah, it's on his property, I don't think we care if
It
it's on
could
his
have been
property.
resolved with a
I'll tell
little
you
bit
a
of
story about
permit.
that. They talk about this guy at the conference, the guy calls up the city and he tells him, I'm tired of my neighbor dumping his lawn clippings over the fence on my property. I'm tired of looking at it, it smells bad. Inspector goes out there, sure as heck, there's a pile of grass there. Gives the guy a citation, they go to court. The judge asks why he's dumping it over the fence. He says, that's my fence. Property line's over there 25 feet. I just put the fence on my property. I'm dumping over my own fence.
And
it worked like that.
They got off.
So help me understand, Eric, if he moved his fence back 1 foot, it'd be okay.
It's on his property.
So right now, it's not on his property?
Right now, it's on the property line.
Oh, on the property line.
Yeah, but once this 25-foot visibility trial comes in, that doesn't change.
Yeah, that won't change, but
Yeah, it
a lot
has
of
to
it, if you moved it back 1 foot, it'd be okay.
be, yeah, as far as our post would say.
Nothing's cemented in.
Oh, yeah.
Just so I'm clear on it, because you know where we live.
Mhm.
If we were to put a 6-foot fence up there, 'cause I saw his, thought it was pretty cool, and then dropped it to 3 feet to our driveway, within, how many feet did you
Within the
say?
25 feet of your driveway.
Well, we're not on a corner. Does it have to still be 25 feet?
There's still a visibility triangle. When you're pulling out, that's your triangle.
Oh, okay.
Your driveway makes it.
So really, it would be allowed at all there within 25 feet of your.
On any frontage.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll be
I
honest,
got it.
my kids do it.
Why doesn't the fencing companies alert owners to this stuff? They're
It
aware.
pays both times.
Yeah.
It pays both times. But it ain't taking half done of it.
No, they ain't got
Oh,
Free is one hit. You don't have to bid very many jobs if you do
My
that.
sister did that.
Okay, so what are we?
So, yeah, I was gonna say, so what does the council want to do as far as direction? And I'd probably like to chew on this. I don't know if I have a direction yet to do. We can change the code, we can enforce the code, we can ignore the code, which I don't like ignoring, so that's not really an option. But we can have more discussion on what maybe be the best, because I think all the residents who did do it, did it not knowing and spent a lot of money and time to do their fence. It's very nice.
The code was there for a reason though, because I could see my kids coming down that street.
Yep.
Riding as fast as they could, and then the truck nose comes out.
Yeah, or you turn that corner and there's the kid turning around right there.
I have a suggestion.
Teenage drivers.
Why don't we mention this to the owner, and it could be a matter of the fence company putting a chalk line on that, doing the thing, and then putting a new cap on. It might not be that expensive. We could have the owner research that.
You're right.
So maybe we just send him a letter saying he's out of compliance for now and just see what he does?
Especially if
All
the fence
three?
company, especially if the fence company put it in. Put it on the fence company.
Well, I'm just saying it might not be that much expense to reimpose. It might not be. Why not let him toy with that a little bit?
So here's the backside of that. If you send me, I have to have a big bat. you better be ready to go.
Yeah.
Because once I go, if that turns out, we gotta go, so.
Well, I can see that the code's there.
And that's the way I draft my letters, so that they know.
Code is there for a reason.
You know, so you gotta be ready to go if you're gonna act on it, and take it all the way. Otherwise, you're just,
And on the three that you're aware of, are they all total tear downs, redos, or are there modifications that might be able to help out on?
on the Wetzel property, this one we're talking about here, those are one panel. So those, they set the post, drop to mid panel 6x6.
I've got a question. As an electrical contractor, if I build something that doesn't meet the local codes, I'm responsible to fix it. How does the fence guy get away with getting paid twice?
But aren't you on international code?
It's the accepted
That's
code,
state
it's the
code.
local, whatever the local
You
code
have to know what the
jurisdiction
local code is.
accepts or adopts, I have to abide by it.
Right. But I don't know anybody that doesn't accept the international code on electric.
Well, that.
I mean, it's because it's different. If you're in Heber City, they may not allow, I mean, the local code could be anything.
For instance, Summit County has a different code for attaching meters.
Yes.
And we did not know that. We still have to go fix every one of them.
Did you?
Yeah,
You're a good guy.
yeah. They like to spend our money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but my point is if that's their profession, they should be responsible. I'm just going along with what John said. It occurs to me that that's how it is for everybody else. Whatever the adopted codes are, whatever you guys adopt is what has to be done.
Well, and I
And
think.
I don't know why they don't have any responsibility.
Maybe the local fence company should be at least
Well,
made
and
aware of
I
it.
think that's what happens. That's why they permit fences. That's why they permit water heaters in Heber City.
Yeah.
Is so that they can
could be.
control these things up front.
So what we're gonna do?
Is that something you wanna do, is
For
prevent
the-
fences?
Then fence,
Maybe at least on the front side or the,
at least it'll
Frontages.
keep things correct.
I need to hire somebody else.
Brian's getting busier.
For discussion's sake,
Maybe we got
I
one
don't mind if
idea.
you continue this one and I
I'll
know
do it.
maybe loud, but I know it's gonna need to be more discussed.
Okay.
And if we keep kicking it down the road, more times go by.
It's like the water heater, you have to have an inspection.
I don't wanna kick it down as
I'm
much
okay
as
with that,
maybe
but
see if there's a
gonna
solution
be a
that
very
maybe we can
different
shorten up and do, I don't know, just look at a few options before they tear out. The all three fences are really nice, but I totally safety trumps it all.
So the other one is Phil Mattingly's. It's up on 3000 South. He was here at our last meeting. So he's got the,
And what
Oh,
about
yeah, he
Doug's?
just built that new one right there, didn't he?
he did.
That's right. It goes all the way out to his driveway.
Doug Seuss's is another one, but I think that's back far enough on the other side of the ditch. It's on his property. So there it doesn't affect. I mean, you
this
have to
is-
get out on the bridge for his visibility.
Okay, so this,
he's got the ditch.
this fence on Mattingly's is not, it's on the public,
Yeah, it's on the fence line.
on the fence line.
Yeah. So you know you're associated with that?
Yeah,
You know what it is?
yeah, I'm gonna hear about it. Thank you.
What would the council like to do this evening?
Continue.
So we don't have to do anything because it's just for conversation, but
Yeah,
unless you're sending me, then we gotta do something. So the other one is, the verbal complaint is Scott Kohler, building without a permit.
He's on Daniel.
So, the clerk received a complaint at the clerk's office.
A written complaint?
No,
Just a complaint.
a complaint on verbal, I believe,
Voicemail.
voicemail.
Does he have a permit now?
He doesn't. And so what this is here for is because the council didn't want to permit decks.
The deck is like 1 foot off the ground.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, he called and says, I'm building a deck. I don't need a permit. Then all of a sudden there's a wall that went up. So now we don't only have a structural wall, the deck's hooked into a bearing wall. What was the council on?
Yes. So it's not a deck anymore? So-
It's still a deck behind the wall.
Well, he's got those
And
two
it has a
timbers
roof.
with notches, which he's gonna put a roof on it. So,
The trusses are on. The
It's
roof's
on.
oh, the trusses already on.
Yeah, and we actually issued a stop work order on Friday.
Before the trusses went on, right?
Yeah, but it happened. No, the
Yeah.
trusses were on, it wasn't sheeted, but
Oh.
when he said, I'll get the permit, I'll do whatever you want, he lifted that stop work order to allow him to work through the weekend. knowing that we'd be meeting here on Monday.
I would think if you just got the permit and just make things square, that'd probably be the proper way of doing it, wouldn't it?
I think so.
You might
Probably
be-
just
Bring them up to
talk to
speed
you
and-
And so now you've got footings in the ground and things that we didn't inspect.
Is there a way of getting around that now? From
Engineers right over there.
There's that liability.
We want pictures.
So if we don't know the rebar's in, we don't know that, now we're in an inspectable situation, when we weren't in an inspectable situation, from your point of view,
There are things he can do to make the inspection, so he can expose, he can dig down and expose parts of the footing. It really comes down to our building inspector as he walks it and gets a comfort level of whether it was built right or not.
I mean, it's a big foot, you'll never see into it, it's just all gonna be encased in plastic as far as the footing.
So I guess the question really is here, is the wall make it not a deck?
That's what I was
I
wondering.
think my big,
What part of it?
my bigger question is does the roof and the wall make it not a deck? And if so, when did it not become a deck? So the next time this happens, I can tell somebody.
Well, I think that a deck is the deck that we're,
But a covered deck,
Some
a
people-
covered deck, a deck.
And also, when he called, that's what we had this conversation, and he says, I want to build a wall. I said, well, wall isn't, that changes it from a deck.
Yeah.
He says, the town will just have to do what the town needs to do, that's what we're doing. So,
I thought we talked about this when we did carports and that, when they connected into the house, it now required a
Inspection.
inspection. It's gonna come off the roof of the house.
And I think we even did, if the deck was X amount off the ground, they needed an inspection, it was just the low-lying flat decks that someone wanted that were the non-inspectable ones.
So that's what we're looking for, is what was the clarification you want us to,
Did we have anything in our code? What
No.
distinguished a deck?
nope. That was just something we, with the decks were coming before us, and we said, we want to regulate, and the council said no. And so then you get some.
But I know we discussed roofs and walls and other
And you
things.
get people that push to see how far they can get, and so that's why we're here.
From an engineer's standpoint, I would think we'd want to inspect covered decks. With trusses and stuff like that.
Overheads?
For safety.
Well, I think that's it's his house, he falls in on him, he falls in on him.
Yeah, but it falls in on.
But then you can extend that all the way to why do we inspect it all?
Right.
Because I've had that argument, I'm not sure I disagree with it, but
Don't expect anything, if they want to live in a cardboard shack, let them live in a cardboard shack, and fall in on it.
I like,
Because when it comes to the resale, then you go buyer beware, you better know what you're buying, get your inspection.
Well, you gotta be careful, you might get enough updraft on that deck and it goes over and squishes the neighbor's house.
Exactly, that's what the inspection's for.
But he's already said he'll pay and have the inspection, and Ryan has said that he can find ways to get everybody satisfied. And
I don't know that
What's
Scott's
wrong
gonna
with
like
that?
me when we're done, but we can have him do some excavations and we'll find what we need.
he's willing to do all of that, plus pay the money.
He
He
probably,
indicated he would.
yeah, that was the indication
First
Friday.
job to be liked, aren't you?
Him being a builder, on the other hand, knew what he was getting into. He could, gonna push it as far as he could, or and take the risk.
There's an old saying out there, it's easier to get forgiveness
Forgiveness
than
and
permission.
permission.
I don't know if he was thinking that or not, I just.
You
know
you
there's
look
an old
at it on one
saying.
hand, he's probably building it, more likely building it right.
It's
He's
engineered,
also gonna push it.
it's
as far as
engineered,
he
I have the plans, and it's all engineered, he has the engineering specs.
If he's gone to that much trouble and he's got it done and he's gonna build it to the engineered spec and he picks up the license, I don't know, my personal feeling is just get square with what he needs to get square with and go from there.
So I think we need a definition of the deck though.
Yep,
Yeah.
you need to know when
We thought we did until we didn't.
Yeah.
because on this same project, we were gonna replace some siding. The siding came off and all of a sudden there was anchored masonry put on front of the house with no inspection. Because what they reported was, we're tearing the siding off and putting it on siding.
Rock siding.
Well, that's probably what he thinks, rock siding.
Isn't that better?
But that requires a lap inspection and some different things, and I think that will continue down the side. Probably be included if we make it good permit.
So did he come in today, like he's told Ryan he would?
He did come in today. We talked about his plans and he's working on submitting a site plan. And he's been made aware that he does need a permit and we're going through the review process.
But like I said, we did pull the stop work order because he was going to, we want to work on it for the weekend.
Good. So could we pass that to planning to have them think about what a covered deck or definition of a deck, covered versus non-covered? Those things?
Yeah.
It's a good place to put it.
Yeah, I'd say all decks need to be inspected.
I just know when we had the discussion, it was, you know, a flat deck just above the ground, it was like, oh, why would you need that? But then we talked about walls and roofs and. That might be the easiest, every time you're nice, you have a
Yeah,
problem.
I'm only one of 7.
The only thing with that is you end up paying X number of dollars for a $25 deck.
Yeah,
I know,
10 by 10
but that's
decks.
how it works nowadays.
Yeah, but
That's how it works.
maybe not in Daniel all the time.
And see, and the deck we were discussing was the factor deck, which was a covered deck. We didn't require a permit.
Oh, really?
I thought it was just a deck. I know it's good now, but I thought it was just a deck.
It was a covered deck, and then we didn't require the permit here at the council, so.
What do we do on ag buildings? You still have to have it engineered, right?
No,
No.
No, not at all.
You have to meet the setbacks.
we're not gonna spend the money to do the engineering check, so.
Well, if you can build an ag building without a permit, you ought to be able to build a deck maybe without a
On
permit.
your ass.
But we do make them come in and get an exemption.
Yeah.
I agree.
But if, I could have a pretty big ag building with trusses and all of that, but I can't build my deck with an overhead or, you know.
Or the house.
That's a tough one.
It is.
Good for planning to
The
think
triple
about.
decker decks, and then you got clubhouses on the end
Yeah.
of decks, and then you got the treehouse decks. and-
It's
And
a
if I only
tricky-
leave 3 foot at the corner open, is it still a deck?
Yeah,
Also, it's like
big window, right?
a rezoning meeting.
Yeah.
See why I write codes the way Eric can get around them? Okay, so that's one, I guess, so we're just working to that end then, pull a permit on that? Because of the wall, is that the?
I would say that if he pulls through all the things he needs to do, if there are a few things that, yeah, but
But what triggered that? Is it the wall?
to me, it would have been anything above the deck. So yeah, it would have been the 2 posts and the wall and the rafter, in my opinion. But let's hear the council's.
That's what I'm asking, do we, sorry Scott, you're, what do you want us to tell them?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's more time,
We can send it to plan, but that doesn't fix this.
Yeah.
we've already left Thacker, to build one with a cover.
I don't want to keep making mistakes and having decks turn into, you know, more and more and more and more, just like the fences have, and, you know, he's got a triple decker, I'll have a quadruple decker, you know, that's just gonna happen.
No, but when does it ever come down to buyer beware and stuff like that?
That left when we were kids, I think.
I know, but I just,
Maybe
I
you
just
just
say
don't
have the
speculate
dump.
so far off the ground and no side or top covering, or else you need a permit.
So, John, I think you're right, if we send the issue to planning, so we can deal with the issue, but then you want this particular issue
Yeah, what do you want me and
resolved.
Ryan to do tomorrow, tomorrow?
It's gonna be tomorrow.
Let's get me tomorrow. We don't work after that.
Well, if we all give our opinion, I would say just bring him up to date, he's done, he's done.
Everybody doesn't start the-
Ryan, is there some minor things we can expect to make sure it might be okay? I mean, I know he's building, I know he normally would build things the way he should, but
Yeah.
anything that you can do that's not gonna really rock the boat, but can maybe give us a little satisfaction of it's done right?
On this one in particular or in general?
This one in particular, because if it's gonna go to planning, we're gonna start doing that for the future. This,
Okay.
I am referring to this particular one.
So this one in particular, I would recommend we expose at least one of the footings down to 3 feet to verify that it was, you know, that actually goes down to 3 feet, the dimensions match what is indicated on the plans. Most of the framing's still exposed, so I think we can check the framing against the engineered plans. And then check the beam pockets where they go into the house would be another area where I'd like to make sure that that was handled, you know, a potential point of failure. And so yes, I think we can inspect those areas, but I would do that through a permit. And by the time we do the code review, structural review, and then inspect, we'll have incurred some costs. And so I would issue the permit, and have them pay those costs, and then we can do that inspection. And if in the meantime anything gets covered up, then it would have to get uncovered.
So that's the issue, do we make him pull a permit at this point? These are the structural calculations for that deck.
Well, if you got an engineer in calc, that means he knew it was more than just a deck, it was kind of a
Not
big.
necessarily, I mean, if the guy doesn't want it to fall in on his family,
I guess I'm thinking deck, without a roof and without walls, so
yeah.
that's more of a deck in my opinion, but maybe not.
Are there walls and stuff on the
There's
plans?
just one wall on the plan that he, but these are all the structural correct calcs, if you guys that are math whizzes.
This is probably a biased statement, but I've always engineered decks and ag buildings too.
So this side's open, that side's
Maybe.
walled.
So is he doing different than this?
No, those are his, that's exactly what he's doing.
So it's really just a covered deck with a wall on one side?
Right. And that was, like I said, that was a conversation I had, you know, once the wall goes up, it becomes something else.
Yeah,
So,
pull permit.
Yeah, I mean, if he told you that and you told him that, you seem fine with it or no, or?
well, he called me the day before and seen it. So it was, you know.
Apart from that, what should I do?
Yeah. So he may have pictures of them.
He says he has a lot of pictures. I haven't looked at the pictures.
Yeah, so he may have pictures that may satisfy, but I mean, we just need to know what to do. Me and Ryan don't know. So we issued the stop work order and then he was so cooperative that we lifted it.
What do you think you should do, Eric? What would you suggest?
I don't know.
Ryan?
Again, what the big problem is, we need to know when this comes up again,
Yeah.
what we do.
I think that if we don't have an ordinance about it, you let him build it. You have to put in the ordinance to stop him from, we have to clearly distinguish what a deck is. If it's gonna be covered, if it's gonna have walls, and it's no longer a deck, I guess, it's gonna be some sort of a sunroom or addition. I don't know how you would categorize that, but as soon as you add that component to it, we gotta distinguish that.
Well, then,
Right now, we don't have, I mean, if we don't,
well, I think,
if he's still considering that's a deck, and we don't have anything to say it's not, then how can we stop him?
well, that's why I said the wall came into play.
I know, but still, even with a wall, does it say, I mean, it's
Decks don't
still
have
a
walls.
deck?
Yeah.
In our opinion.
In our opinion.
That's what I'm saying, he's got a totally different opinion of that deck,
Definitions.
obviously.
Definition's probably, like you said, he's gotta narrow
It's
down
gotta
what a
be
deck.
clarified, I'd say he's, I hate to say it, he's good. And then I think we're gonna have to distinguish exactly what we think a deck is. I don't think he can go after it. We don't have anything clearly written.
I certainly don't wanna go after him as much as if he kinda realized that he should have got a permit, this is maybe a little bit more than a deck.
Well, I just think
Make
he
it
did his due
compliant.
diligence, he followed our laws, and he took the time to get it engineered, so it wasn't gonna fall in on his family. I see your point, I honestly, I think going forward, I think at this
Because I said
specific
that me and
one,
Ryan handled the easy ones. We bring the hard ones to you guys.
I think this specific one, since we don't have a definition and they're clarifying what it is, I think you let it go.
Well, which brings up another question, at what point does 120 square feet come in?
Besides what, up or down or sideways,
Well,
10 by
about
12?
2 walls, if you leave one open, is that not 120 square feet now, because one wall's open? So now we don't need a permit for something that's 25 by 25?
Let's say that for another night.
It's the same issue.
Well, I think that we're hitting it right on the head, then we're clarifying these.
So what if he was to take the wall out and put a handrail up and he wanted to put a
Like,
side obscuring screen down the outside of it, would that be considered a wall?
He's got a roof.
The handrail with you, because by law, you're supposed to have a handrail if it's over
3
20
feet.
feet off the ground.
He's not over that high, but still, I guess you could say you could take this wall down and put some kind of side obscuring thing, if that's what you're trying to do, is get privacy. And it would still be considered a deck.
We're still hitting the same issue, we don't have a clear definition of
Right.
what that is. So-
But Eric's saying when he put a wall up, that made it turn into
I mean, this
a building.
An accessory
This is-
structure.
And this is attached to the
In
house.
my opinion, that changed it to an accessory
So it's
structure
different.
by putting a wall.
That's different.
But what's the definition of an accessory structure then?
Separate.
That might just clarify.
Totally separate building.
Well, it won't clarify the deck.
But it's gonna classify and say, well, this is no longer a deck, this is a,
Okay, so here it is.
Build on.
Structure which is framed, erected, or contributes to the comfort, convenience, or necessity of the occupants. That's an accessory.
Well, that doesn't say anything about a wall.
All it says is frame.
Framed. The wall has to be framed.
That has to be
Framed,
Yeah.
erected, so actually
It's true,
anything.
vertical frame.
It would be,
It doesn't specify how many walls or anything.
nope, it sure don't.
So you can either go at it at that angle, saying it's an accessory.
Well, he's gonna get a plan for what he submitted, right? He gave you a plan.
Yeah,
So
he's
gonna
got
get
a
a plan
plan.
for that, so just move forward and check the footage. I mean, I agree with what he's saying, you don't really have a lot to go on other than that. He's doing it, he's really coming to you and,
What happens is that pushes this thing, if we say he needs a permit, then it has to go in for review. And that's when you get the drop-off fees and all the structural review costs. That's
Put back,
when,
drop
that's
it in
when-
half.
$600.
that's when it starts adding up, you know, which is what we're talking about.
Scott knows.
That's probably, on this one is Casey, where if it's not written, my understanding is it's usually either specifically written or they can do it until you specifically write it. It's definitely more than a deck, for me, I'd like to see the definition of decks be defined and redone in our code book, actually. And that's gonna take however long time it's gonna take for that.
So that definition is under 184 in the definitions, if anybody wants to. look that up.
Accessory buildings,
What's that?
accessory structures.
Yeah,
Does it say anything about being attached?
it does not. And so the accessory use is 80402, 4E.
So if we would have built it like a pergola, it probably wouldn't need any kind of a building permit. It wouldn't be hooked to the house. Be a
I really
freestanding.
thought he was gonna build a deck and then hug the wall after. So, apparently he got in front of that, and so obviously people are seeing that and calling, noticing there's not a permit in the window and saying what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, let's make a decision, we move on to the next item. Ken, in case we know where you stand. Done?
I stand with Eric thinks he's involved with it.
So I can have a full permit.
I turned it over to Ryan.
Well, same thing, he's involved with it, he knows.
I'm full of permit, do the pictures, do the,
I told him it looked complicated enough that I thought it needed a permit. He's already done the plans and engineering, so all we have to do is review it and inspect it. So I told him I thought it needed a permit.
There you go.
He didn't seem
If
to
he's got a
address
plan with that coming down the pipe, you told him that too, Eric? With
What's
the
the
wall,
wall?
that kind of thing, so you pulled
I told
that.
him to change it from a deck, I didn't tell him it needed a permit.
Right, but I mean, he knew, okay, you did a hiccup there, and then you've already expressed that to him.
I told him it needed a permit, but I'd be happy to be wrong.
Yeah, we could be wrong.
I can see Casey's point too, so it's a tough.
It is.
Well, there's 3 votes, so.
Yep, 4 votes.
Shall I entertain a motion to come to the decision on this? Meaning, are we gonna pass and send it on to planning to recorrect the definition of what a deck is, which is, I think,
Well, I
a
think
minimum
we're
we need to do.
We're doing that anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah, have Eric put the motion forward and then.
Send it to planning? You think I'm gonna make a motion to send it to planning, you're wrong.
No, you're talking about Scott's deck?
It's Scott's deck, I want to clear up Scott's deck.
Oh, Scott's dead, okay. Make your motion.
I'll make a motion that we clear up Scott's debt by getting a permit and following the procedures that are dictated by the planning commission.
Okay, you have a first? You have a second?
I'll second it, so we can vote.
Okay, we got a first and a second, any last discussions on it? My discussion would be that we have, well, I don't know, in a month or two, but we get a good third definition on a deck, and that's the only important thing that I really want to do, so that'd be my comment.
Do we need to reword this from deck to accessory building or accessory structure?
Whatever it is, he's gonna pull for it, so. If the motion passes, so.
Floor and deck, no roof, no walls.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, and we had any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You got discussion on that, Kim?
I
I think.
Now, hold on, let's just make sure we were saying yes and no to the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's 3-2 permit,
So that it would have
and we
been,
need to revote.
to clarify it, if you both knows that you to permit and just come up to speed. That's what we were all saying,
That's what
right?
you were saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So would you all vote again and clearly so that I know what your votes are?
So, let's just,
3 ayes for them to get the permit?
It's probably
For all.
in the nays.
Yeah, so there's 3, you at 4?
There's aye, here.
3 ayes, 2 nays.
Okay.
Each of your nays?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ryan, when you pull out permit, make sure that the stone on the house is included. Thank you. We want out the next wall, because the next wall's getting ready to be done.
Yeah.
So we ought to make sure we get a lap inspection on that, make sure the attachment's good on that.
Okay. It's gonna look beautiful, isn't it?
It is, it looks great. Okay, the side obscuring fence at Casey, I see you write down code. The definition is under 74 on 804.
Page 7, on 804.
No, it's item 7. So 804 is the definitions in our code, and if you go down to 74, save you from looking and you'll be able to read the definition on the fence. It sounds like we might be adding another one to it today. But that was pretty high expectations in the next month.
Yeah.
It was high, I
I
know.
thought it was 4.
Okay, before I move on, I don't want to move on too quickly, Eric, to anything else?
Anything else there, you guys?
Just one question, what's this dog watch thing?
Okay, dog watch, we received a blue stake. Looks like there may be a business operating on Mill Road. They've listed that address as their, I don't think that's a license with the town.
We got a little sign out there, something says dog watch.
No, we just got that blue stake installing it in a property in Daniel, and it has who's doing it, and they list their
Seen
address.
this vehicle down by the state center,
The what?
like the dog watch company.
A logo van or something?
Yeah, it's on Mill Road, it's part of the state.
Down further?
Yeah, that's where I've seen this. not in our town.
Across the road.
Oh, that'd be good if it's not.
Yeah,
That'd be
well, that's where
awesome.
I've seen this dog watch truck,
Okay.
is over there, not in
All
our
right,
town.
well, that's why I put it on there, just when we got the blue stake, I was like, oh, whoops.
Well, it could be, or maybe it's at that address, maybe they moved or something, but.
Okay, sounds good. You want me to check into it? Okay,
Great.
moving on. And then if nobody had questions on the Epic thing, if you roll your papers over on that, Mike Davis, the county attorney, got back with me it was on your report. There was stuff on the back. Mike Davis, the county attorney, we asked him if the county would participate in us going after those folks that was on the fire. Remember the fire agreement we signed? The answer came back, he cannot represent the town, so they will not be participating with us. So that, if we have to go after somebody for the funds, then that's solely upon the town's initiative.
To initiate the go-getting of monies that might have be needed to whatever cause happen.
Yes, so they will not be participating.
So how many other things are we gonna find out the next year, what they are and aren't gonna be doing as far as?
Hopefully, we don't have a fire and we never find out.
Exactly, because, just, I don't know if you've seen it, but all the there's quite a few municipalities are still chewing on it and things, and I personally glad we got over it, but they're chewing on the same issues that we had, and, anyway, like 4 of them are still chewing on it.
Okay,
That's probably all for Eric, then,
That's it.
stuff, okay?
I tried to keep it on one page, I don't know why I had to print one on the back.
We're gonna be replacing all the asphalt in August.
Yeah, on Main Street.
It'll be nice when they get done.
So we did have an item on the number 11. I don't know if we need to really spend much time on it with, you know, so far I think we kind of beat the dead horse the last few months on it. We did have it continued to this month. Do we need to discuss it or, as a council with regards to having 2 sets of eyes and looking at our permit
Oh,
process
okay,
now.
This is John's.
Right, and I think John's fairly clear on what should go on, so that's why I'm trying to, I'm passing John and I kind of spoken earlier, and he understands the issue now. Or
So-
not now, but did have.
Well,